after the top of the hour. We apologize for that delay in starting, but of course the show must go on. You are on time for the summit, and of course each and every Wednesday we come alive just to be able to bring you some of the conversations that matter to each and every one of us. As always, my name is Eugene Nangwe. Thank you for making the time, for being with us right here. We are live across digital platforms, of course on YouTube. We are right there. You can be able to jump in there and be able to be conversational with us. Share with us your feedback throughout this particular conversation. I'll be reading those comments as we go on this particular program. On the X platform, formerly Twitter, you can also get in touch with us. Use the hashtag #TheSummitRW. I'll be following that particular hashtag. Just be able to read your comments on the topic of discussion that we have tonight. And we are shining a spotlight on consumer protection and, of course, safety of consumers right here in Rwanda. And, of course, we want to just ask ourselves some pertinent questions, especially when it comes to the issues of globalization and, of course, fair competition. How is Rwanda's consumer protection agencies and those who are in charge of looking at the safety of Rwandans is concerned? How are they dealing with this particular dilemma? And that is what we'll be talking about right here on the program. Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling okay? Is there any particular question that you have that you'd like to be able to share right here on the program? And I want to introduce my panelists right here on the program. I have Jean-Pierre Vageneza, acting National Certification Division Manager at the Rwanda Standards Board. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
Asante. Thank you very much. Also with us is Dr. Jean-Pierre Munyamundu, who's the Division Manager, Food Registration and Information Control at Rwanda FDA. Thank you also for joining us.
Thank you.
It's quite a coincidence. I see Pierre, both of you. Coincidence, all right? So I want us to get down to this particular conversation, and also thank you for making the time, even with the short notice when we were trying to get a hold of representatives from your two institutions. It's best to understand, I'll start with you from the Rwanda Standards Board. A lot of changes have been happening, a lot of regulations have been taking place. I understand that there's a new regulation that took effect from 9th of this particular month. It had to do with the dropping of the requirement for visa step for those who are actually, importers, business operators, and the general public. And I want us to be able to share more on that along this particular program. But let's start off first of all with the mandate of Rwanda Standards Board and how that looks like today.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to explain the changes, as you said, that have been taking place. Rwanda Standard Board, together with the other regulatory bodies, they are actually the umbrella of what we call national quality infrastructure, to make sure that the product, the service available comply with the national, regional, international standard. So Rwanda Standard Board is actually belongs to the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and you, by definition, you understand that they are there to support the trade and industry. So one of the things that we do is development of standards, different product, food and non-food, system based on the service or that you're offering, and then we disseminate through trainings, capacity building of enterprise, specifically the small, medium enterprises, but also the large one. And then we do testing, national testing laboratories, where we test different products. Then we have metrology. Metrology is a science of measurement. Actually, we ensure that what you're supposed to get is the right measurement. So metrology is there for industry, but also for legal metrology. Those who go to the petrol station, go to the market, the weighted measures, but also they support other service like health sector, whereby they do calibration of equipment. So we have another division that deals with certification, that is assessment of conformity for different product, service, and system, to ensure that what we have on the market is in line with adopted or developed standards. And therefore, they can be granted a certification mark. For the product is S mark, and for the system there are different ISO standards that we, after assessment of conformity, we assure that the product or service complying to the standard.
Right.
To ensure that this is well done, we also went through the accreditation of our service to be internationally recognized. So basically that's what we do.
Right.
Brief.
We'll come back to talk a bit more about that, but I want to understand also from the Rwanda FDA perspective, how do you, or what differentiates you and the Rwanda Standards Board? How do you ensure that there's no duplication of responsibilities, tasks? How do you make sure that there's no friendly fire, in the line of your duties?
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. As you said, he has explained the mandate. Rwanda FDA mandates is also described in the law. Its core mandate is public health protection through regulation of different products. In the scope, there is food, drugs, cosmetics, and we have within each category there are different products for subcategory falling into each category. So, like for example, in the food we find fortified food, and we find processed food, and we have food supplements. But the scope of Rwanda FDA in the area of food regulation is only processed food. Non-processed food does not fall into Rwanda FDA mandate. So when we go to the section of drugs, we have quite a number of products regulated under Rwanda FDA. We have vaccines, we have from other pharmaceutical products, we have herbal medicine, and quite many others as described in the law. So the core mandate is just the protection of public health, and it's through regulation, meaning that the mandate of Rwanda FDA is regulatory activities or regulatory functions. So within the scope of its mandate, we have different functions or different operations, like licensing of establishment, regulatory inspections, including GMP inspections. So we have product registration or market authorization. We have safety monitoring or market surveillance. We have import and export control, and we have clinical trials. Not going to go deep into details in every single aspect, but all of the scope of all the products Rwanda FDA regulates are described in the law.
Right.
So with respective to duplications, everything is described in the law. So when you read the law, you will find the clear mandate of Rwanda FDA. And we have frameworks of collaboration with different institutions and the different stakeholders, and we make sure that whenever there is an issue that needs intervention of different institutions, that issue is discussed.
Maybe for public interest. You've said
yes.
You've said you only focus on processed
yes
foods. Who does the non-processed ones?
It's RICA.
RICA.
Yes.
Good to mention that. Now, if we're looking about the announcements we've been seeing on social media platforms, media houses about recalling of some products, majorly by Rwanda FDA. I know there was a recall of a certain batch of I think it was diclofenac and other medicines. I mean, for a consumer or a regular citizen who sometimes doesn't know how to differentiate what is good and what is bad, shouldn't they be worried that it gets to a recall perspective or point when it has already been in circulation? Is that normally never too late? Maybe let's start there.
It's not too late because, as I said, within each function there are different activities, and recall is one of the activities within a regulatory landscape. It's quite normal, the recall within a regulatory environment. It might be a batch, the time it entered the market was safe, and then it comes to the attention that its safety is no longer safeguarded, then it's in the mandate of regulatory authority to make a recall, but it does not has to create an alarm to the public or panic to the public, because there are other operations to ensure that the public health is protected, and Rwanda FDA keeps the public informed about the safety of the product. So recalling does not necessarily means that the public is at danger, but most of the time is preventive. So, but at certain point it can be also intervention to make sure that the product would not cause harm to the public. But there should be no panic.
There should be no panic, is what you say. But from Rwanda Standards Board perspective, I'm wondering, by the time a batch or a certain product is being recalled, it means it went through some loopholes that the Standards Board might not or did not, authorize or approve its use in terms of safety for the citizens. I want to understand how that happens. What causes this?
Well, thank you for the question. Actually, the ecosystem of quality infrastructure explained. There are standard bodies and regulatory bodies. The standard body, they produce the standard, they disseminate. I explained the function and process. So it might occur sometimes that a product through alert system that are in place, that a factory, let's say a factory from another country or local, detect some deviation to the intended use or standard compliance. That is one. After some time, it may be quality problem, packaging, maybe safety. So there are risk categorization, and those risks are weighed, and then through the surveillance you may also detect. So they may come from the factory itself or from the regulatory, because industry, they produce on daily basis, and you are not there 24 hours. So if they detect, they may recall even before reaching the market. That is allowed, and then they can discard the product. However,
but I'm talking about those that have already reached the market.
If they reach the market
in people's houses,
what happens? There is alert system to inform the public. That is obligation by the regulator, that this has a serious problem. We have tested. Then you recall. One thing may be because of information.
Sorry.
Yes.
Just for purpose of the public's sake. By the time that recall is being done, and those tests that you say may have been missed at certain stages, and now probably the manufacturer is saying, hey, that particular product is not safe. We would like you to help us to recall it so that we can avoid public danger. My question is, by the time it gets to that point, who and what steps might have been missed for it to actually get to that level, and why?
Different steps, that's what I tried to explain. That it's a responsibility of the manufacturer to ensure products put in the market comply with the standard requirement. That's why when you offer in RSB the certification standard product, S-Mark, it's a contract, an agreement that you will put on the market complying product. Okay, that's number one. Now, if you fail, like for our RSB, there is a way we can withdraw the certificate after some investigation. That is number one. Another thing is the announcement is part of the contract. Communication is part of the contract, because even the big firm, they do recall. But then there is consumer protection law that is already in Rwanda that people should be aware of, that protect their right. Now, at the point of the distribution, there are some malpractice as well that may happen. You find some dairy product supposed to be refrigerated, but they kept on at the Justice Marketplace, open air. So those are some malpractices that also may affect the product. So that they are different. It's an ecosystem of the challenges that may. But as a regulator, that's what he was trying to explain. There are different function levels. Once a product to be on the market, being imported, first there are process we will explain to be granted a permit, import permit, to be able to import the product. There are requirements you need to fulfill, including test results, including product description. You'll explain more. Now, when you deviate from what the permit allows you to do, then sanctions come. What happens, maybe we'll explain for RSP, we can withdraw, and then we can suspend first, and then later, if you don't correct, withdraw the product. But that is important. And again, another things, that's what I'm explaining, at EAC region, we have tried to put in a system, alert system, to make sure that any product having a problem, a challenge, we actually inform the other countries, partner states.
That they can also do.
They can also do the, yes,
like
yes.
Yeah.
And internationally, we have e-ping system that under WTO or trade organization, that if there is any thing that is a danger to the public health, you inform the public. That is an obligation under WTO. So those are the mechanisms. But as a regulator, I can explain more what they do, because they are the one issuing maybe the import license. And then on another note, we do market surveillance for our certified product and system, where we go to the market, pick the product to check if they are still within the contract framework whereby they comply with specific standard requirement.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm come back to that. There's a feeling by a section of consumers who feel the protection mechanisms are probably not at their best, especially when they come to learn about this information. Most of them even after consuming some of these processed products or some of these important products. I am aware of cases where some supermarkets, people had to report certain types of products that were being sold in those supermarkets, and later on it was found out that they were not, fit for consumption in that sense. What's the biggest challenge in ensuring that such situations do not happen? And when they happen, what usually has happened behind the scenes to allow for such things to, to take place?
For such a thing to happen, there are different factors, multiple factors. Some might be intentional, some others might not be intentional. But regulation is all around the value chain of a product and the product life cycle. Yeah. So the product might be safe by the time it gets out of the processing facility or manufacturing facility, and it may get damaged along the supply chain, or during storage in a supermarket, for example. Yeah. So as my colleague has just mentioned, it's a shared responsibility, but the primary responsibility normally falls in the hands of business operators. So they should keep checking whether the product in their control are safe and are complying with safety requirement. And now, the time it has hit the shelves and the issue is identified, so there are different mechanisms we have. The public or the consumers may inform us what they have noticed in the shelves, or it can be discovered during our normal or routine operations, inspections, what I have explained as safety monitoring and market surveillance, or it may also be discovered during joint inspection. As we speak today, this week, there have been a joint inspection. We bringing together different institutions. And what we do assessment, we look at the level of safety concern, and then we take appropriate measures with appropriate steps. But the primary responsibility is normally we encourage business operator to feel that responsibility that they have to make sure that the product they put on the market are safe. Otherwise, it's a shared responsibility. It's the responsibility of the business operator, it's the responsibility of the consumer. Whenever they find that the product is not safe, we are encouraging them to inform Rwanda FDA and also the general public in general. But it's quite possible that a product may get damaged at any stage of life cycle.
Right.
And we assess that and we take appropriate measures to make sure that the public is protected.
Maybe there's someone who's worried when they're listening to this, and maybe they're saying, we are now on our own. They're saying the primary responsibility is of the business person. And this business person is out to make profits. And they will do anything to even cover their tracks whenever they do any mistake in that sense. And that's why the consumer, feels or would like to feel protected, that there are regular operations that can happen even if it is every day, every hour, just be able to make them feel safe, so that when there are tests which they cannot see with their naked eyes, there's someone looking at that. How do we make the consumer more comfortable, when we hear such statements that it is the primary responsibility of the business owner?
He explained that his shared responsibility in principle is that, but the mandate is also for the body, standard body or regulatory body, to conduct routine inspection, he explained. Not only them, but there is a collaboration with the authorities, local authorities, and because remember, the journey of standardization is a journey that starts, but you never reach the end, the apex. So you always need to update, to innovate the mechanism. So one of the mechanisms, I think some of the producers, as said, have started self-regulation. Self-regulation in terms of standard requirement and standard compliance. Then it is helpful sometimes to self-regulate, and we have what we call voluntary standards, sustainability standard, and standards whereby now some of the standard, for instance, are mandatory, while others may be.
When you say self-regulation, what does that mean?
Self-regulation, for instance, let's say you are in the business of milk product. So now you have association of farmers, maybe association of milk distributors, and there are some regulation to respect. Self-regulation means that you have agreed with the regulatory body to fulfill the requirement of a certain regulation or standard. Therefore, if you find among yourself some people deviating, you inform the regulator. That is one the reason. And it's a way that also promotes fairness and fair trade, because if I'm following the standard and you are doing malpractice and you are on the same market, then it's unfair. So this also about educating the population. Another angle is about training the media. Media plays a key role in dissemination of information. All these recall, they pass through either social media or radio, or TV, and whatever. So RSB, we had organized with Codex Alimentarius committee that is in charge of food standard, a session of trainings. Now the media has come up with a group of media people interested in standard and quality and safety. So those are the platform you build to make sure that you share the information. And then once you share the information, the feedback is good because people know they are right. People are informed about what is happening. And also, if there is any malpractice, the reporting is immediately done and effectively dealt with. So I think there's the mechanism, but also in terms of educating, Rwanda is a country that actually look for innovations. So we have also some initiative taken by, for instance, the young generation to make sure they produce the best product. So their support under the technical assistance, some of the issue that we find, it's someone did not get enough sufficient assistance to produce the product in a standard way.
That is required.
That is required in a standard way. So we have mechanism, the maturity model, the Zamukanuziranenge, supported by the government of Rwanda, especially focused on the youth, our young generation, including also people with disabilities, but also the female. So the program is designed in a way that anyone with an idea can be supported to produce. As a result, now we have more than 1,000 certified products, but also along the journey, we still have 700 around the young people trying to produce their product. And that is good sign that people are now understand that standard is key if you want to make industrialization in a way that is competitive nationally, regionally, and globally.
Even globally.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe I would love to understand what's your biggest challenge when it comes to the public in line with trying to protect
yes.
us.
Before I go to challenge, I would like to elaborate a little bit on the aspect, say, responsibility.
Yes.
We said everyone has a responsibility, but the overarching objective is to ensure that the public is protected. And when I say primary responsibility, it means the business operator have to ensure that the product they are putting on the market are safe. And then the regulators and institutions involved in control of products, they also have the responsibility, including engaging the public and the consumers. And in Rwanda FDA, we have different mechanisms that link us with the public. Whenever a consumer feels that there is a safety concern, we have different channels they can reach to us. We have a system to receive and reply to the complaints and all issues related to regulation, even the services, the complaint, the inquiries, the report about the suspected products. So we have that. On top of that, we also have regular or routine activities to inspect. But as I said, everyone has to feel that this is a shared responsibility. So if I go to the market, I'm a consumer, I have to make sure that the product I'm buying is safe. And if I don't have that knowledge, I may reach out to competent authority. Now, coming to challenges, some of the challenges we may mention informal business. So there are people who may not be willing to invest in compliance, and they choose to make that informal business. In that case, they would, if they have no willing to comply to regulatory requirement, that means they are not sure that the product they put on the market are safe. And that's where we may receive the reports, and then we make investigation in a collaboration with the other institutions. The other thing is the capacity within the business operators. So we have seen that business operators might have great ideas to have novel product or to process product, but at the end they may not have enough financial means or skills to invest to make sure that the product they are putting on the market or they are producing within their facilities are consistently meeting the safety requirements and establish the standards. The other thing is in a, like if I take an example in the food sector, there is what we call food fraud or food adulteration. So it means they can misrepresent products, they may misbrand their product, they may, and they do this intentionally. This also happens not only in Rwanda but globally. It's the common issue, and they try to make a product cheaper, but they represent as a good quality product to increase their value. So all those are some of the issues. And also what we have noticed is the willingness within business operators to comply with the requirement. Some may not have access to required information to make sure that the product are complying. Others may choose not to comply at all. So we have all of those scenarios that are
affecting
the business, but I mean our operations, but we have also mechanisms to handle those challenges, especially in collaboration with other institutions, in reaching out to them, in raising awareness, in educating, and also engaging in a frank and fair conversation to make sure that, to make them feel that it is in a common interest that all products
are safe for everybody.
Are safe, and our health is safeguard.
Right. I'm going to come to talk specifically on how you're dealing with those challenges to make the person watching this show to feel safe, because if there are many challenges, then they need to know, are they being dealt with and how? But I'm going to come to you and probably ask you the same question, especially when it comes to the skill sets of the teams at Rwanda Standards Board, because there have been arguments that some of these things, to be able to know whether they are safe, to be able to be given the standard, the badge for approval in terms of standards. Sometimes they look very sophisticated, even for the teams that are doing the analysis in that sense. Maybe try to rebuttal or buffer out that particular fear that probably people have out here, that sometimes with the coming in of new technologies, in coming up with certain products and consumables, it becomes a bit hard. What are they testing? Are they even aware of what they're checking? And by the time they're approving it, maybe it was not easy to even know whether it's safe or not.
Well, the world is becoming like a village. So information flow from Europe to Africa to America to Asia. So innovations are coming every day. So within RSB ecosystem, we have a scheme for training our staff of RSB because of new technologies. Let's say if you have instrumental analysis to test like pesticide residues, that has a public health concern. So you need to have a program to train on continuous basis people to test for residues. Talking of residues in horticulture product, talking of aflatoxins.
Yes, in the maize and everything.
Maize and the cereals, or aflatoxin in dairy products may happen, or feed animals. So those we have training program, annual training program, and also some attachment of staff to help get the best knowledge. But coming to the breaking the ice, people thought maybe RSB is the only lab that can test. We have at ESC level discussed, and we come up with a laboratory designation scheme that you train the people up on the requirement of the international standard regulating the testing laboratory, that is ISO IEC 17025.
Yes.
Then after training and coaching, they applied for a specific scope. Maybe I will test water, another one will test cement. So we have 15 designated labs across the country. They are not from RIBs, they are from private people. So that the standardization should create jobs also for the business community.
Yeah.
So, and then it also reduced the pressure on RSB because we do monitoring or what they are doing. We do what we call PT, proficiency testing, intercomparison tests on regular basis. We do surveillance to ensure that if they are given designated lab, they are providing the accurate results. Very important. So that's, we have a number of 15 laboratories across the country. So that also facilitates SMEs in terms of the cost of testing their product regularly. Some of SMEs, they don't have the testing facilities, but with those initiatives, now they go close to their closest laboratory, make an agreement, test both raw material and final product. So there's an initiative. On the other side, I told you we have training through Zamuka Energy program, whereby especially the young people are trained.
Yeah.
Some trained are actually after the training, series of training, they are sent to specific SMEs to help them comply with standard requirement. Because you may have a bright idea, you do it traditional way, but when it comes to standard, you need some to come in order and do it systematically, so that the way you do it today, you do it tomorrow,
becomes consistent.
So there are some, actually we are collaborating with some partners, these development partners, then they can support the initiative by providing subsistence allowance for those trained young people. So those are availability of those resources, human resources, to support the SMEs, because we know some of them, they are startup, they lack the competence, or maybe they lack the fund to pay for the staff. So those are some of the initiatives that are taken, and we are seeing results. 5 years ago, we had only 600 products. Now we have more than 1,000 products certified. 5 years ago, we had system that has certified were around 40. Now we are more than 100. Now we have started also providing the service outside the country. We have a client in Nigeria. Because we are accredited, we have started exporting our services. A client in Nigeria, another one in Uganda. We have demand from Djibouti. We are working on it with the Rwanda Cooperation Initiative to come up with those tangible solutions. Once we have the knowledge, it's also through the African market, which also the picture that we have to look for to export some of the service. So we have started with one factory making spices in Nigeria, Ajinomoto, Nigeria, and in Uganda, making some water purification system. But also in Djibouti, we have they want to collaborate, to mentor them to come up with a very well-established standard bodies. So those are the initiatives that I can...
But still, someone might argue and say, okay, we seem to be stretching ourselves. Yes, we want to have clients outside of the country, while, there are still some cases of people reporting, even drinking water in the dispensers. And they would argue that this water, I never buy it from the shelves because it seems like it either has some soap or it has overstayed, or there's and when you look at that water bottle, you find it has the standards mark. It is approved for consumption, and so some of these things, maybe some consumers have ended up deciding, you know what, I'll just not buy it, but it still remains there at a cheaper price, like you said, from others that probably are being taken by many people. And so that does not mean that they are not being consumed. They are still in the market, and someone who might not have the capacity to buy the other ones will still consume this particular water.
Jean, you highlight a very critical point. As he said, they do market surveillance, we do market surveillance, we share information. Actually, we have a toll-free call, 3250, for anyone who wants to call.
3250?
Yeah, 3250. And then
30250.
Yes. 3250.
3250.
Yes. Call toll free. So I want to come to certain things. counterfeiting is also there. And we have seen during the surveillance that people can cheat. So in order to stop this, we have come with the protected marks with traceability, where you can trace if it is genuine or not. That is number one. Number two, when we do this campaign about education, actually today when you are a certified product, we tweet. We tweet on regular basis a certified product for the public, of course the most educated, but also we have on our website director of certified product systems and those that are still valid or those that are expired. Now I want to come to what you notice. Critically, what we did is about, once you have a certificate of conformity, we can have special audits. And special audits is when we find that product it has failed. It was passing, but now it is failing. It might be due to different reasons, which may be from maybe you lost the staff, maybe the machine had problem, but you didn't communicate. Maybe there are different issues that may occur. So we increase the surveillance audits, the market surveillance scheme, and we communicate and we take decisions. So anyone who is a problem, or just a complaint, you can use that platform. We have received the numbers. We have recalled some certificates last year, around 20. It was a sector, different sectors. So we keep on informing as well. We just not only taking sanction, but also increase the awareness campaign, the training, but also consumer protect. That's why in everything we do, consumer association are also included at the core, and the other staff that support the consumer association.
Right. Although there are people who still argue and say, they used to be this product. It used to be really nice. And that's, I think, what you mean, that after some time, some of them start losing track due to different reasons. But they still remain in the market. Sadly, they're still in the market. I'm aware of several of that. People have even talked about that in different circles, and they would be able to say, this particular product used to be really nice. But these days, it lost its standards, and that's probably the argument. And even as I now engage the viewers who are actually sending their feedback, I would like you to probably also answer to that. I have Honorable Clement Musanga, I think it's, yes, Musanga Batware, who says, I have one question, Eugene. How do they detect corruption tendencies to facilitate fair trade and competition in industrial business? Maybe Rwanda FDA, you'll talk to us a bit about that. How do you detect corruption tendencies? Because there are people who might want to pay their way into, certification.
In the Rwanda FDA perspective, we have values. Corruption is not tolerable in this country, and we have no knowledge of any corruption in our business
at all.
Management, no, we have no knowledge, and our management take care of that, and it's completely discouraged. And we have designed our processes to rule out any aspect of corruption. For example, no inspector would be going to the field alone. That's one measure. The other measure is that no single person recommends a decision about the safety and the quality of product. We have what we call peer review, and a product or a process is approved or is recommended for approval in a peer review. So we designed all these processes to make sure that there is no room for corruption, and we keep get informed from different institutions as well, but corruption is not to be tolerated within Rwanda FDA.
Right, that's powerful. That's very powerful. There's another comment, and I think you'll be able to come in on this as well. Dear Eugene, I am currently following you on RwandaTV. My concern is citizens don't know their rights and responsibilities in terms of consumer safety and protection. awareness is needed to be increased. Thank you for choosing this topic. And so if the people being protected are not aware of their own rights, it might be difficult even for them to demand for better.
Well, someone said educate, educate, educate. Mm-hmm. It's a continuous process, and there is Consumer Day in Rwanda, which is also a good step taken by the government of Rwanda, but also the law, consumer protection law. So those are the mechanisms, and then association coming up. But also we strictly maintain communication with the public. That is very key, because as you know, 20 years ago, how many industry did we have? How many products on the market? So the balance is changing now. At least we see some tangible results. But when it comes to what he said, in the principle of standard bodies, the principle of confidentiality and impartiality is adhered to. As he said, peer review, the one who go in pair or three, then review taken by another person, then testing is not done by another division, then the result comes, then assessment. So we do the best to prevent corruption, and when suspicion is there, the actions are taken. Now, to come to the communication with the public
and consumer education,
yes. There is some effort need to be done, for sure, because sometime you go to a rural area, you find maybe the only way, maybe the radio. So how to use the radio effectively, for instance, we have community radios. There are those that we can use. How do we go about these when we have like a district trade exhibition? Each district now has a period to exhibition for what is produced. So we try to send our staff there to meet people, to discuss with them, and we have done in different fora and different exhibition. So I think things are being done, but much more is needed.
Much more is needed.
Yes.
What do you need to achieve that much more?
Well, I think as always we say, without resources, resources are important. Resources in terms of human resources, but also...
So you want more staff?
Sometimes you need some staff, but also how do you collaborate with other platform? That's I told that we have like self-regulation. It's a mechanism that works. If I explain maybe a little bit, in some of the countries, the Bureau of Standards, they just develop standards, they do maybe certification, but self-regulation, market surveillance, we have some private organization that can do inspection. So we initiative, as I explained, like laboratory, we have these designated labs. Why not inspection bodies that can be private but self-regulating in some way or one way or another? Those are the initiative we are talking about, and they create jobs, because if you create a private inspection body and is registered, then you hire people, you give them the knowledge, and then about the education, we have a projects that are running actually that intend to make sure that we have what we call modular courses. We are working with the government of South Korea, the KOICA, the Korea International Agency, Cooperation Agency. We have some modular courses that you will be able to reach out even during when you are at your home. You can access. It's a project that is starting. So it's a way of educating people about the standard and the standardization process, and it's very nice. I encourage people to, once it's fully operational, to educate themselves. That is learn by just, if you want to learn, you learn. The material is there.
But it's interesting you say a lot that is happening. Then I think there has to be a way of probably trying to see how to do it differently, because it seems to be a lot, but this viewer still feels the impact is still not so much. Maybe there's need to put more efforts in that area of awareness creation and regularly doing it.
Yes.
I'll ask you the same question, but probably you'll be able to answer this as well. The dropping of this visa step requirement, for importation of regulated products, why was it available? Why was it there even in the first place?
Every step had a purpose. So the visa step was like an advisory step. So let's say I'm an importer, I'm interested in bringing in goods, and then that I may not know or I may not have information related to safety or quality of that product.
Yeah.
So visa was free of charge.
Yeah.
And we're requesting a quality document and some other few requirements to make sure that we advise before bringing in the product.
Yeah.
However, it was the wish of business operators and the public that that step be scrapped because there were some reasons, including the timely delivery and the time it takes. So it was the will of the business operator, and they submitted the request, and it has been assessed by competent organs, and it has been decided that way in order to streamline the importation process.
Right. It's big news for importers, business people, the public, but with such kind of moves, there's also room for abuse. What measures have been taken in terms of going ahead to avoid any kind of abuse by the removal of this particular measure?
Still, there is room for consultation. If you are a business operator and you feel you want to bring something and you have no information, we are inviting them to consult Rwanda FDA for advice. Otherwise, if they are familiar with what they are importing, they have access to all requirements, and then they may go ahead with visa license, importation license.
Right.
So still there is room for consultation, and there is room to exchange ideas on what is appropriate. And this calls the need for compliance, to make sure to double check before they bring in the product and make sure that they are complying with existing license. So at the same time, being encouraged to apply for license before they ship in
their products.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's time for us to go, but I'm going to give you, each of you, under a minute to just be able to give us your closing remarks in terms of commitment to the public that is watching us tonight. What is it that you want to tell them in terms of their safety in that sense? I'm going to start with you.
Yes. Thank you, Eugene. I thank you for this show, the summit. We are a service provider. Rwanda Standard Board. The standard there for the whole population. Anyone who has innovation can come, be trained, can get subsidies. As I didn't explain, that through certification, you can get 50% paid by RDB to support SMEs. Those are free of charge. So we are there to serve, and let's make country a country of innovations. Innovation that in line with the standards and focusing on these NST2 transformation of our society, but also protect and safeguard ourselves, everyone playing a key role. Yes, I think.
Thank you. Very briefly.
My call is to call everyone to make safety part of the culture. Part of tradition.
Make safety part of the culture.
Yes.
Okay.
That means from the consumer, ensure that what we are consuming is safe, and consult the competent authorities in case of doubt, business operator, making sure that they are only putting safe product on the market. In case of deviation, unintended deviation, just initiate the process to remove those products from the shelves. That's the call for safety.
Thank you. Thank you both of you for making the time. Yeah. It's a conversation that can end in this falls, but it has to continue.
Correct. Yeah.
We keep talking and we keep supporting each other on the aspect of consumer awareness. And you too, who's been watching us, thank you very much for being a part of the program, and we appreciate you being part of this particular show. This is just the beginning of these conversations around consumer protection. We know that there are other agencies that are doing this kind of work. I'm aware of RICA, I'm aware of for those who are actually dealing in real estate, there's the Rwanda Housing Authority. These are conversations we'll have with these institutions just for you to understand what are they doing to be able to make sure that you are protected as a consumer. Thank you for being a part of the program. We'll see you next time, same place and same time. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.